Seems glitchy. Saw some likes there, but I don't know. Yeah, odd. Very odd. And I'm connected. Everything should be good. But folks, I want to do this video. I tagged Benjamin Ebley and Megan Patrick. I joined a course she's offering called Sovereignty 101, and she's American. So I'm going to just give a little brief. I'd love to sponsor and all that, but I got to do the course first. I'm going to do her course, and then I'm going to go from there and see how it goes. I already read a piece she wrote that was really brilliant and very credible and real, and I enjoyed that. This is the next step, and it's a real important step for Canadians because, one, Canadians have no real concept of sovereignty. And where does sovereignty begin? Sovereignty begins with the individual, and there's two key components of that that do not, and I repeat, do not exist in Canada. Now, we have a dictionary, it's called Oxford. In there, you're not going to get the same definitions of the prerequisites for sovereignty. That's natural law, and then your natural rights. Very closely related, but two distinct concepts and actually truths of humanity, real truths of humanity that really have never come to surface before until the United States of America, meaning a government system that codified those basic truths of natural law and natural rights. So I'm going to go through it. So I hope everybody understands and know these particular concepts are excruciatingly painful to get across to Canadians. Now, Americans are going to go, yeah, no problem, I get it. Why are you talking to me like I'm five? Well, because it's Canadians who don't have these concepts, not in early childhood development, not in any systems available in Canada. So let's start with natural law. What is it? Natural law are laws from the people, inherent laws that rational people who can think for themselves freely and determine these concepts based on their surroundings, what's available in nature, and those govern how they live their lives. This is moral, it's spiritual, it's not religion, but it is on those lines that's around you in your environment dictates how you should live your life, being at one with it. For example, trees, plants produce the oxygen we need to live. You need those things. You can't live in an area without any plants. You wouldn't want to create a world like that. But yet it's done all over the world. It's done, and people think that's normal. Those are not places where the people have been fundamental in nature. Of the 13 colonies, everything that came out of them after they broke away from Britain started with natural law. By the time Articles of Confederation had come and gone in the 9 years, Americans were ready for natural law. It was what the Founding Fathers instituted in the Constitution. First time ever in world history, a codified reality of natural law, which again is laws based on what rational people interact with around them. They're inherent laws that critical thinkers say, yeah, that makes sense. I don't need a government to tell me that. This is reality at hand. As the sun rises, the sun sets. As the moon comes across, tides come and go, lunar, solar, all of that. That's natural law. You learn to live with it. You learn to live with it. Just like you work during the day, the sun rises, all of it. These are concepts of natural law. You don't need a government to tell you this. You understand it as an individual. You understand these concepts. You understand you can't overfish. You understand that you have to be one with nature in the way you conduct your life. And if you're at one with that, it'll be at one with you. When you're not and you're at odds with it, which is entirely the old British model, old world order, entirely of those kingdom empires that just destroyed, like the buffalo being hunted to extinction. That's a primary example of those who violated natural law. Now, America's come a long way. They started that way, they got there, but a lot of these concepts weren't theirs. They were inherited from old models, old world order models, where there was no natural law. Now, Americans in those 13 colonies that became the first states got that concept on the money. They codified that. Next is natural rights. These are rights within the natural law system, meaning, again, you don't need government. You have Bibles, you have everything in the environment around you. You have rights that you're born with, inalienable. You have a right to life, right? We're born to live. Nobody can deprive you of that. Your freedom, your happiness. You should be happy. That's normal. It's not a good system if you're not happy. You have a right to that, to your own happiness, your own dedications. You should be allowed to do that. Having a family, doing all those natural things that you're born and supposed to do. Nobody's to take that away from you, dictate rules on how that's to be. That's natural rights. Rights you are born with, inalienable, meaning that's what you're here for. Those are rights that belong to you as an individual. Nobody can deprive you of those things. Rights that come with natural law. This is all independent of the government. Government are positive laws. Positive laws can't be natural law, can't be natural rights, because the government's assigning it to you. That is exactly what Canada is, and many other colonial systems, which are all monarchies or civil law socialists or military dictatorships or autocracies, where you give an elite set of people the rights to dictate to you what is or isn't natural law, when you get it or when they can take it away. Natural rights when they can give and when they can take it away. Tell you what these are, so you don't even think for yourself. Those concepts are not there. It's unnatural. It's anti-American. Why do I bring this up? I'm going to bring up the ostrich farm in BC. Before I play a video for you, I'm going to show you this slide. Then I'm going to go play you a video I did for New York, because New York for me has been a monumental amount of work. A northern state dominated by Democrats, their judiciary highly hijacked in America. If you guessed California is that way too, you'd be correct. At odds with the Constitution, at odds with natural law, natural rights. It's state governments trying to assign that against the people. We're going to go through a number of those areas tonight. But folks, what we're going to get into here is an ostrich farm example. It's a case study. This is what I mean by natural law. When you think about natural rights, this is all on natural law, but it's going to overlap natural rights. It's going to showcase how people don't get it in Canada. Exactly, in Canada, they do not get it. Ostriches have a genus. They're a specific family species unto themselves. They're a bird, but they're a specific species of bird with its own genus. That genus, meaning that genetic lineage for its entirety, right down to its original source, is not found in North America in all of North America's history, meaning we can go all the way back to even the dinosaurs found in North America, all the way back to that, insects, all of those things, and then actual living, even extinct, lineages and genus, meaning having the DNA, and there are no ostrich genus in North America at all. They developed in an entirely different ecosystem, completely outside of North America. The Arctic has zero, I repeat, zero, anything to do with the ostrich genome. Zero, zip, zilch. Natural law is the rational concept as a person that you can say, okay, the Arctic is a different ecosystem than all the other major six. When we talk about oceans and continents, we can say, you know what? You can say there's 7 of these majors. Some overlap, sure, and you can look at genus. A rational person will say, okay, this species can kind of overlap there, or it can make it to this point. It evolved in this set of circumstances. This is highly specialized for this demographic. And the two polar opposites. Here's the Arctic, and then down here at the equator, below the equator, is another continent, Australia, and there's a specific genome there called ostrich. These are two polar opposite genomes, and you should know this. Kangaroo, the pouch, right, all of it. There was ice ages, there was isolation, different species of animals. In fact, the Arctic has a ton, North America has a ton of animals that are only found there, and they're not found in many, many other ecosystems, major ecosystems of the world. And then there's vice versa, right? The marsupials, many of them never found in North America, even in other times. There's just several of them. Those ostriches are a highly specialized desert creature that run completely different immune systems, different operating temperatures, different specializations to deal with heat, arid environments. They have acid spit. Like camels, they've developed systems to retain water for extended periods of time. They're not meant for the Arctic. These birds have no business in that ecosystem. Now, under natural law, of those 13 colonies, several of them, 9 in fact, on their inception and everything went to America, said, you will use rational thinking, critical thinking, right? You don't take a fish out of the water and put it on land and hope it learns to walk. And you just know, don't, right? In natural law, that just doesn't work. The fish is going to die. Fish is going to have problems. It's going to die quickly. This is the same for ostrich. You bring it to the Arctic, it's not designed in any meaningful way. Americans understand this very well. You will find in all the northern states, there aren't any major ostrich farms like you find in Arctic Canada. This is above the 49th parallel. We're into the Arctic. And Canada's got several ostrich farms. They're doing research and development, looking for vaccines, pharmaceuticals. Okay, you have these things out in the wild in mega numbers. They die extremely fast. They get sick, right, because they're way out of the desert. Now, for some reason, Americans, because of their natural law, understand that. You'll find that most northern states, there aren't any. When you find somewhat equivalencies of ostriches in the United States, that natural law took over and it stays in the extremely hot states without any winter, where the energy input and what you have to do to take care of those creatures that don't belong in environments so far north. And they're not. And you'll see all the states that implement it are all very either arid or extremely hot, where it's climatized that can support ostriches. It's been like this for a very long time. America's much older than Canada. But Canada, in its Commonwealth and of course the Crown, no respect for any natural law. It's, hey, move these things here, who cares? Who cares? There was no rational thought of it at all. And then in New York, you look at New York, that isn't even in the 49th parallel. It's the 40th parallel, meaning below Ontario, who's down into the United States by a lot of measures. But we're talking 40th parallel, New York, and there's only one major ostrich farm. It's an experimental study of these ostriches for, again, pharmaceutical and all of that. One, that's a major state, New York. It's one of the biggest, most densest. And they got one ostrich farm for experimentation, just like the BC farm. And guess who owns it? Canada does. Canadian firm doing research and R&D on developing drugs and experiments with ostriches in an even outside of its normal climate, because they want it to get sick. They want it to catch colds, to live in a habitat it can't live. This is what was going on in BC. And of course, you're introducing illnesses to it, and then you're having wild birds interact from the Arctic, who are supposed to be, by nature, isolated from those ostriches in Australia, meaning those birds don't interact. They never interact. But yet now you're doing that. You see the problem? And you're going to play around with viruses, hoping to make vaccines. That's what they're trying to do. And Canadians can't see past their nose, even when you explain this to them in common sense, meaning this is natural law. Common sense tells you you don't put that in that environment because it has no genus there. It's never had a genus there. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Americans understand that concept, although in New York they're corrupted, and largely that's from Bay Street, infusion, and many other British infusions. New York, UK, York, right? And this is the problem, that the Constitution of the state of New York has a lot of these problems in it. Their judiciary is completely corrupted beyond a whole pile of the United States, which I'm going to give a video that I go through, and a new change in the Constitution of New York that opens a door for change at the state level, which in turn can change the district judicial system. But folks need to understand that many Americans easily understand that concept and go, oh no, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. You don't do that. Natural law, thinking with your own mind, looking at it, its impact on nature, that's a no-brainer for a lot of Americans. In Canada, right over their head for a vast majority. Because why? There's no natural law, and we certainly have no natural rights, because if you don't have natural law, how can you have inherent natural rights you're born with? Which means you have no concept of real sovereignty. So without further ado, I'm just going to hit this, which was the case study here, that still a lot of Canadians don't get. It's funny on the Trump groups of Americans, they're laughing, they get it. It's amazing I made this post. But in Canada, it's kind of, huh? You know, and there's still people are going, but the poor birds. And it's like, you understand those birds don't belong here, right? It's an affront to nature. It's a violation of natural law. Why would you want that? These are the kind of people that would in turn let somebody fish out an entire lake within 2 years and be like, well, everybody was hungry, we need to eat all the fish, instead of, hey, this is the limit. These are concepts we have to do. And we've seen it in history. And it's not just that, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things that go beyond even that. But I'm going to show you this. So this is the latest New Yorker. His name is John Catsimatidis. He's Greek, and I work with one, but boy, they have hard last names. So basically, he's funding the ostrich farm in BC. He's fighting for them, investing heavy money. And he is claimed to be a Donald J. Trump supporter. He's got a radio station. But when you really look into this guy, which is clear to me, anyways, because I've followed Rudy Giuliani for a long time, and I knew of their fallout just a number of years ago. Rudy lost his law license to practice in New York. He's disbarred in New York at least. And he had a huge fight with John. And the reason why is because John is a sleeper. Rudy accused him of working for Joe Biden because, of course, how much did you donate to Donald Trump? You say you're a massive Trump supporter, didn't donate any real money to Trump. And then you look at what he donated to Hillary Clinton in the election before 2016. He financed her over $1 million. Not hard to figure out. You're not going to do something like that and then turn around and all of a sudden magically you're a Republican. New York, you'll say what people want to hear because, well, I could win the election if I did that. And he did run under Republican, but we call those rhinos where he's not really, because all his money's been largely invested in Republicans, big key Republicans. Yeah, and now he's backing the ostrich farm. And the only reason he's doing that is because he's in with all the experimentation. Of course, you find out the only ostrich farm in New York where he wants these ostriches to go is owned by Canada and is doing the same exact experiments in New York State. And it's an affront to everything. It's America. It's an affront to the majority of the first 13 colonies, which did include New York. But again, remember, New York. And it has an entirely different judiciary. In the United States, there's 12 judicial districts, one of which belongs entirely to the state of New York, nobody else. And it's unlike all the rest. I mean, they all have variations and differences. They are all different. But like if you go over to California, for example, their district belongs to 6 other states. And of course, why would New York get its own district? Well, it did, and it's been running on that whole district the whole time, pretty much isolated from the rest of America. We watched New York, as you all saw, American or Canadian. It was largely New York that took Trump to court. We look at the 34 indictments. We look at the lawsuits, the action against Donald J. Trump and his business dealings in New York. So many cases, all during the campaign period, most of which, 85%, done through the New York District Court system, which I'm going to play the video. So I just want you all to see this. It's really undeniable. You can see the history of Rudy and John. Rudy called him out years ago. You can easily find all his relations with Hillary Clinton, how much he's put into the Democrats, specifically Hillary Clinton. And when you look at that, it's over $1.2 million. Like, that's massive. Like, that's massive funding, campaign funding by an individual. It's pretty hard to say that he doesn't love Democrats. I mean, come on. Oh no, he's reformed. Well, where are all the the Republican expenses where he funded Trump or anybody else? He didn't. So it's all baloney. I want to show you this video I did on New York. These are key problems with New York where they start to sway. And as of the latest, here it is here. So I put this on YouTube. And it's going to the Republicans in Saratoga. But I wanted to make this for all of you. It took a lot of energy and work, a month's work on this. Believe it or not, it's that hard because... Hello, New York Republicans. My name's Dave Bjorkman. I'm here today to take 3 minutes of your time on a monumental presentation. Presidential Justice, Restoring Accountability in the great state of New York. President Trump was persecuted for an entire year of his life, the campaign period. 34 indictments, many lawsuits, all unfounded, only in the end at the state level to be released. A conditional discharge, meaning he was not guilty. I've brought you here today because I believe you've tripped on abortion, on the Equal Rights Amendment, missing national origin. Article 1, Section 11, now in the state of New York, matches the Fifth Amendment and, more importantly, the 14th Amendment. For the 62 counties of New York that processed ERA with national origin, understand Calvin Coolidge's law, 1924, and what states have been proposing, largely from Democrats, for Republicans in New York. This is your opportunity. National origin as it applies to Indian states in the United States of America. 6, in fact, that give the power of the independent judiciary to the American people, not court commissions like New York. This is your amendment. This is your challenge. 6 states give equality before the law. 14th Amendment and at the constitutional level of the state. New York has never done this. They've been a British model system, still entirely colonized at the state judicial level. It's the state commissions that don't allow citizens to petition for grand jury or petition for constitutional amendments like these other 6 Indian states. You can now challenge for that under state national origin, matching the 14th Amendment and the ERA Amendment of the New York State Constitution. Look past all the other woke agendas of the ERA. Take national origin. Use it. Go to the highest state court, the Appellate Division. Go in Saratoga. Republicans can do this. Citizens can do this. Win the challenge, win the change, forevermore change the way that politicized judiciary works. Remove that crown colonialism, largely from the British system still today.
Clerk will call the roll. No, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think I'd just like to be recognized. I know Senator Durbin and Senator Whitehouse, who outrank me on this committee, have asked.
Epstein files, which are locked away in New York too, by the way. As much as Trump would like to, and others, they can't. They can't. I know they're calling for Maxine to come forward and her to give testimony. What's sealed in New York is sealed by those district judges. Again, it's a committee. It's not the people of New York. It's not the President of the United States. It's not Congress, Senate. It's not the state governor. It's not the Governor General. It's not the Attorney General. It's not the Senate or Congress of New York. It's literally in the district judge's hands, and they're bound to their one singular district that they rule over with a committee of their choosing, their people, not the people of America. There is zero check and balance. It is literally an independent judiciary of the American system of natural law and natural rights. Natural law is defined by the people's ability to hold government to account. That is another natural law, codified in America and given in so many other districts, not New York. California has problems too. A lot of people think people brought action against Donald J. Trump in New York. They did not. Judges did. Committee-made judges of New York who are majority Democrat did that. Just like Epstein, all those people are safe because of judges in New York. And there is nothing, anything can be done about it by any other government agency, federally or at the state level, unless the video I just showed you is enacted. That can be done. And how do you do that? You have to challenge the higher court, the appellate division, do it in Saratoga, a Republican portion county of that district system. If they refuse, appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States. That is all there is. Because in New York, judges committee on everything, including referendum. And they made a boo-boo by doing national origin. And when you look at that in context, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you choose to read it letter of the law or interpretive, won't matter because national origin has already been interpreted. They have to take the precedent, which is the Indian precedent. There's many states to back that up. That gives the power back to the people for the first time ever in New York history. And this amendment was done in November. It's a piece of natural law, could be natural rights that come with that, because they're available in many, many other states of the Union and absolutely in the federal constitution itself. But most state constitutions give it to. New York's the only one at the judicial level where you, the people, don't get to make referendum. You, the people, don't get to enact systems of justice. You don't get that executive authority. The judicial branch closes that off. That is British. That is entirely all of Canada. And don't get me started on provinces and territories. There are no constitutions, zero checks and balances. There's only the provincial crown beholden to that federal crown, and they legislate whatever they want in their lane without ever giving the people anything. No natural law, no natural rights, no civics, no civil law, nothing but their socialism and fascism. All Canadians get is a federal constitution, very limited, where a tremendous amount of powers stay locked away by the provincial governments who won't enact any of it, which means fused judiciary, fused legislative, all to the executive under Executive Powers Act. New York remains that way in its judiciary branch of government at the state level. Folks, that's my video. There's a tremendous amount of education here. A lot people need to share. A lot of time must be taken. And again, I'm going to take Megan's course, and I thank Benjamin Ebley for that. We're going to see how it all unrolls, goes through, because I really enjoyed the piece she wrote. I looked at that. I couldn't find any errors. Very well spoken, better than I could write or generate. But I understand all the concepts, and they received me very well. I received that very well. And I'm just putting this out there for everybody because it's so important. As Americans are raised that way, I think they need to really take a step back, that you're going to find a deaf audience on so many Canadians. Their idea of sovereignty or natural law or natural rights and many, many other created fictionalized laws or definitions of those laws don't match anything that's in any encyclopedia or in play today. And it makes you go, whoa, where did you get all this? It's made up, it's fictional. And this is what Americans will see, and I think Megan's going to see too. But I can't wait to see this program and go through it. I try to make it every day I can. Thanks, everybody. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. It's huge. It's huge. These are educational moments for people to really look at stuff and go, okay, I see why, or I get that. It's important because a lot of people don't see it. 90% of Canadians will not see any of this or get it. They'll blank, I don't know what you're talking about. Or they'll have a whole other definition of some of these concepts. They're not found implemented anywhere, and Americans will say, that's not right. What are you talking about? And Canadians don't even know it, but they believe it because somebody has programmed them to think that way. That's my video. God bless. Bye now.